My wife lied about her pregnancy, so I revealed the truth at the family dinner. Hey Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. I, 32M, find myself in a situation I never thought I'd have to type out, let alone live through. I've been married to Jess, 29F, for almost 4 years, together for 7. We have our ups and downs like most, but by and large, I always thought we worked as a team. Our families are close. Dinners every Sunday, alternating houses, group vacations, the works. Kids were something we talked about, planned and dreamed, but every time we started the conversation, Jess would say, "Let's wait a little longer. Let's enjoy us." That's why it hit like a thunderclap when Jess came into our kitchen 2 months ago, hands shaking, eyes shining, and announced she was pregnant. I remember hugging her so tight, I nearly lifted her off her feet. She cried in my arms, and for a moment, it felt like a dream come true for both of us. We called our parents that night. My mom sobbed tears of joy. Her mom started knitting a blanket. Jess seemed nervous, but I chalked it up to first-time mom nerves. That's where it started. The truth is, from that night on, something felt a little off. I told myself it was the usual anxiety, a life change this big rattling both of us. But the feeling never quite left, and, if anything, grew stronger with every passing week. The first strange thing was Jess's reluctance to talk about the pregnancy. She's always been organized. Lists for everything, apps for tracking, newsletters for every milestone. But now, she dodged baby talk, changed the subject when her mom mentioned strollers, or snapped if someone asked about the due date. She started working late, disappearing for morning walks I wasn't welcome on. I chalked it up to nerves, again. But truthfully, it gnawed at me. We started getting little gifts from friends, tiny socks, world's best dad, mugs, baby books. Jess would just smile, say thank you, and quietly stuff them away in the closet under piles of old coats. When we visited her sister's place, Lauren asked how Jess was feeling, if she'd picked a doctor, if her cravings had gotten weird yet. Jess laughed like she didn't understand, then told an elaborate story about loving pickles and peanut butter, which was odd, since she hates both. I started noticing how she deflected whenever anyone got specific. What's your due date? Which doctor are you seeing? Are you going to do a gender reveal? Jess would brush it off, or joke her way out of it. Her mom got suspicious first, caught me after dinner, whispering, "Is she all right? She barely eats. She doesn't want to talk about the baby. Maybe she's scared." I wanted to believe that. But the little inconsistencies piled up until I couldn't ignore them anymore. Despite the excitement, a knot grew in my stomach every time we talked about the baby. I started noticing things I never thought I would. A weird mix of curiosity and dread. I saw Jess toss her prenatal vitamins in the trash when she thought I wasn't looking. Her stomach looked exactly the same, but it was still early, or so I reasoned. I offered to go to appointments with her, but she insisted on going alone. "It's just checkups," she said. "I'll let you come to the next one." I started tracking the calendar myself, keeping note of when she said she was seeing the doctor. I'd ask afterward, "How did it go?" She'd always have a quick, rehearsed answer. "Heartbeat looks great." Or, "Doctor said I'm perfectly healthy." Always so fast, so clean. I kept waiting for her to share ultrasound photos like my buddies' wives had, but she said her office didn't allow outsiders to take them home anymore. A new policy, apparently. Her stories were plausible, but never quite convincing. Something in her eyes just flickered. I felt guilty for doubting her. Jess had never lied to me, not about anything important. It felt wrong to question her, like I was betraying her trust during what should be a magical time. But that gnawing sense of unease wouldn't let go. It shadowed me through sleepless nights, crept into my daydreams, and hovered over even the simplest moment. Watching TV together, sitting with her family, holding her hand. I started wondering if she sensed it too, the invisible wall growing between us. One Sunday morning, Jess said she was going to her first big scan. The plan was to meet friends for brunch afterward. I offered to drive her, but, predictably, she insisted on going alone. "It's probably nothing special," she said, eyes darting away. She left early, supposedly for her appointment. I pretended to let it go. But my anxiety got the better of me. I called the OB's office she claimed to be seeing, asking if Jess P. had an appointment that morning. The receptionist, after checking, replied, "I have no one by that name here as a patient, sir." I hung up, feeling ice in my veins. Maybe it was a mix-up. Maybe she used her maiden name. Or maybe, just maybe, I was right to worry. A few days passed. Jess acted normal, even cheerful. Our families kept gushing over the new little one. I started rummaging through our paperwork, hunting for a clue. I felt sick, violating her privacy, but desperation won out. In her desk drawer beneath old bills, I found nothing. No appointment cards, no instructions, no prescriptions. The turning point came when I found her phone unlocked on the kitchen counter while she showered. I hate myself for this, but I checked her messages. Buried between texts to her mom and sister were messages to her friend Sam. It's getting harder. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Later she texted, he keeps asking about ultrasounds. What do I do? Sam, ever the confidant, only replied, you have to tell him, Jess. That was it. My world cracked open. When Jess came out of the shower, all smiles, my hands shook so hard I nearly dropped her phone. I put it back exactly where I found it, heart pounding in my chest. For the rest of the day, everything she did seemed like a performance. A calculated smile here, a gentle pat on her stomach there. All I could hear were the words from her messages echoing in my mind. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Every time she looked at me, my chest tightened. I desperately wanted to believe there was a good reason, some explanation, anything but the truth. My gut was screaming at me. My wife lied about being pregnant. I felt sick. At night, when Jess burrowed into my side, I stared into the dark, eyes burning. The betrayal stung in a place I didn't even know I had. Was our life a lie? What had I missed? All the little moments, her excitement, our dreams for the future, the connection I thought we shared, they felt cheap now, like stage props. Our families, so happy, would be devastated. I kept running through scenarios. Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe she'd miscarried and was too scared to say it. Maybe. That hope kept flickering, but deep down, I was already mourning the woman I thought I married. Obsessed, sleepless, I became a detective in my own home. I scoured the trash for prescription bottles, wrappers, anything. I snooped in her purse when she was in the shower, searching for appointment cards or anything that would prove this wasn't all a fabrication. One night, after pretending to fall asleep, I heard her crying softly in the bathroom. It broke me. But the next morning, any vulnerability was gone. Only a perfectly normal, if slightly nervous, Jess remained. I debated asking her directly, but every time I tried, something stopped me. Fear? Maybe. Fear of breaking the fragile peace, hurting her, exposing my own private horror. I confided only in my brother, Matt. We met for coffee, and he quietly listened as I spilled my suspicions, voice shaking. Man, are you sure? He asked. He was skeptical at first, but when I described how Jess dodged details, his expression changed. You need to know the truth, even if it hurts, he said. With Matt's help, I checked with every doctor's office in town using Jess's full name, maiden name, everything. Nothing. I clung to the last glimmer of hope. Maybe she went out of town for appointments. Maybe it was all a big misunderstanding. But I knew that wasn't true. Something inside me died a little with each sorry, no record here. Everything came to a head when I found the receipt. Jess insisted she'd had a doctor appointment that day and dinner with her mom afterwards. That night, she left her purse on the entry table. I saw a crumpled slip inside. It was for a wine bar. A time and date that matched her supposed doctor's visit, and she'd purchased 2 glasses. My mind raced. Pregnant women didn't go wine tasting, let alone lie about it. In a moment of reckless panic, I messaged her friend Sam from Jess's phone, praying for answers. I can't do this anymore. I need to tell him. What do I do? Sam's reply was almost instant. You should, Jess. He deserves to know. I dropped the phone, pulse pounding. I'd been grasping at threads, but this was the shattering proof. Jess was not pregnant. She had lied, and somehow I was the last to know. No more hoping, no more kidding myself. I had to face this head on, no matter the fallout. The silence at home became unbearable. Jess had no idea I knew, which made her small acts of affection almost painful to tolerate. I'd greet her with a forced smile. Bits of conversation felt like iced chips in my mouth. I wanted to scream, rage, break something, but instead, I held it all in, plans forming in my mind for how I'd confront her. But really, my mind was on the family dinner set for Sunday at my parents' house. a tradition neither of us ever missed. I thought of telling Jess privately, hashing it out where it was just the two of us, but I realized part of the reason this had spiraled was all the secrets, all the shrouded conversations. Our families were already involved, expecting, making plans. Was it cruel to expose the truth at dinner? Maybe, but I was beyond humiliation, beyond pretending. I wanted accountability. I wanted the lies to stop. Matt, when I told him what I planned to do, hesitated. It'll be ugly, but maybe it needs to be, he said. I wasn't sure which scared me more, her reaction or my family's heartbreak. But I knew I owed everyone the truth. I deserved better than secrets. Sunday rolled around. My parents' place sparkled, Mom setting the table with her best china, Dad humming some old song in the kitchen. Jess fussed over a salad, exchanging quiet jokes with my younger sister, Ellie. Her parents arrived, bringing a cake that read, "Congratulations, parents-to-be," in bright, cheerful icing. All the while, I watched Jess. Her hands were steady, her laughter too light. A performance, but none of them saw it. Dinner began. My mother poured pink ginger ale into champagne flutes. "Since Mama-to-be can't drink," she teased. Jess played along, clinking glasses, spotting me across the table with an unreadable look. There were all the usual noises, forks scraping plates, Ellie recounting work drama, my dad cracking dad jokes. Beneath the warmth and laughter, I felt like I was drowning. I'd rehearsed what to say 100 times, but now that the moment was almost here, it felt surreal. Could this really be happening to us? To me? Finally, as we finished dessert, I put my fork down, my palms sweating. "Can we talk about something?" The table fell silent. Jess froze, fork halfway to her lips. I took a shaky breath, voice steady but thick. "Jess, you've been telling everyone you're pregnant. But it's not true, is it?" A beat of stunned silence. My mom whispered, "What are you talking about?" Jess's hands trembled. "What? Of course, it's true, why would you?" But the words spilled out, years of trust and hurt. "I called your doctor. I checked everywhere, Jess. I found the wine bar receipt. I read your messages to Sam. Jess, you're not pregnant." Jess's face crumpled. Her mom gasped, dropping her spoon. My dad stood, fists clenched. Ellie started crying. Jess just shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I wanted it. I thought it would make things better." The room exploded. Her mom shrieking, my dad yelling, everyone talking over each other. I sat there, numb, staring at the woman I thought I knew, the woman who'd lied to everyone she claimed to love. The room devolved into chaos. Jess's mom started sobbing, shouting, "How could you do this to us?" My own mom looked at me as if she didn't know which one of us had betrayed the family. My dad took my shoulder, firm but shaking. "Son, are you sure?" I just nodded. I'd never seen Jess's dad cry, but he buried his face in his hands. Ellie stormed out, slamming the door. Jess tried to speak through the sobs. I was scared. I thought if I could just make it true, it would be. We were drifting apart. Everyone kept asking. She hiccuped, voice cracking. "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to stop." Her confession only seemed to fuel the fury. The cake sat untouched, like the cruelest of jokes. In the commotion, Jess all but collapsed into her chair, barely able to lift her head. No one knew what to say. Deep down, I felt relief that the truth was out, but the pain, the magnitude of the betrayal, hurt even more seeing the devastation all around me. What once was a happy family dinner was now a minefield of anger, heartbreak, and shattered trust. After dinner, Jess and her mother disappeared into the guest room, her sobbing echoing down the hall. Her dad sat quietly, staring at nothing, while my family quietly discussed next steps. My mom tried to hug me. I flinched, overwhelmed, unable to feel anything but numbness. I got a text from Jess an hour later. She'd left with her friend Sam and wouldn't be coming home that night. I read her message 3 times, desperate for understanding. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I never meant for it to go so far. Please give me space." Matt texted too. "Proud of you for standing up, man. Don't let her turn this around." But my own confidence was shaky. Our parents called repeatedly, each conversation a repeat of apologies, confusion, and grief. "You deserve better," Mom kept telling me, as if that would magically fix the pieces. Friends messaged too. Word had already started to leak. Some were supportive, others asked point blank if it was true. Shame and embarrassment hit me harder than I expected. I wanted to hide, but there was no escaping the truth anymore. I went back home alone that night. The apartment was eerily clean. Every trace of the baby vanished. Jess had taken the tiny clothes out of the closet. All that was left was the blanket her mom started knitting. I sat in the dark, letting the silence close around me. I spent the next days replaying everything, desperate for answers. Why would she fake something so huge? Did she ever love me? Was our marriage this broken for so long? My parents came by, bringing food I couldn't eat. My sister sent long texts about needing to talk. All my friends took my side, but it felt hollow. They didn't have to pick up the pieces. Jess finally messaged to ask if we could meet to talk. I agreed, but insisted it be at her parents' place, with her family present. No more secrets behind closed doors. When we met, she looked so small. She tried to explain, pressure from family, wanting to fix things that felt broken between us, and not being able to stop the lie once it began. It didn't excuse it. Nothing could. We agreed to separate, at least for now. Her parents offered awkward apologies. Mine did the same. Mostly, I just felt tired, like a storm had finally passed, but left everything ruined in its wake. The days blurred together after that. Jess stayed with her parents. Divorce talk came quietly, then more urgently, until finally, it became a fact, just another casualty of the mess. Family dinners stopped. Holidays were smaller, quieter. My own grief came out as anger and exhaustion. Some friends drifted away, others stayed, letting me vent or just sit in silence. Jess's mom reached out and apologized again for her own role. She said Jess was seeing a therapist, working through why she did it. I hope that's true. I honestly do. I don't wish her ill. I just want to move on, rebuild trust in myself, if not in others. Matt helped me pack Jess's things. He was gentle, careful not to ask too many questions. Ellie, finally, apologized for storming out and hugged me like we were kids again. It felt good to know that family, at least, could survive the fallout. Late at night, though, I still replay conversations, what I missed, how I could have changed things. In the end, I realized there's only so much one person can do when the person they love is determined to hide the truth. Now, a few months out, I'm working through the rubble. Therapy, time with family, plenty of long walks just to clear my head. I still have days when I wake up half wishing it had never happened, half grateful it's finally over. Jess and I are barely in touch. I hope, for her sake and for anyone else she loves, that she finds a way to be honest with herself. If you're reading this because you're trying to decide whether your fears are valid, let me tell you, don't doubt your own instincts. If something feels wrong, it usually is. Don't let guilt or fear keep you silent. Secrets corrode relationships. Trust is everything, and once it's broken, it's a long, hard road back. If you're with someone who can't be honest with you about the big things or the little ones, you owe it to yourself to demand the truth. You don't have to settle for lies, even if it means things fall apart. Self-respect is worth more than any relationship built on deception. Thanks for reading. I wish I had a happy ending to give, but for now, all I have is honesty, and that'll have to be enough.